Good evening and thank you for joining us. The Urban Renewal Authority unveiled the Sai Street Flower Market Road Development Scheme in Mongkok, with around 270 tenants affected. The redevelopment project is expected to cost around $2.5 billion for acquiring properties. Some of the makeover projects are expected to complete in 2033 at the earliest. The Sai Street Flower Market redevelopment blueprint involves an area of 6 sites spanning about 29,300 square meters. The Flower Market section covers Prince Edward Road West, Sai Street, Yungai Street, and Flower Market Road. They involve 23 buildings, which are all over 62 years old. The plan is expected to affect around 275 tenants there. A commercial residential project will be developed at the largest site, providing 1,350 flats. 4 other smaller sites will redevelop into a leisure park with retail facilities. Alleyways will be revitalized into a walking street.
Apart from the preservation project at Prince Edward Road West, which is a Grade 2 historic building, we have no graded historic buildings within the project area.
The Urban Renewal Authority said the overhaul in the flower market is expected to affect 20 flower shops. 100 other existing shops won't be affected. They hope there will be 500 car parking spots provided from a new underground car park. Another site to be redeveloped covers the Boundary Street Playground, Sports Center, and multiple government facilities. After the makeover, a multi-purpose government complex will be built, boasting 2 sports centers and a football pitch. A hotel and an office complex will be part of the redevelopment plan as well. A water park is proposed too, with an area of no less than 8,800 square meters. It will be constructed between Boundary Street and Nathan Road, linking up Flower Market and Mongkok Stadium. The URA recorded a deficit of $3.5 billion last year. When asked if it is the right time to redevelop the area, given the acquisition cost at $2.5 billion, the URA said the proposals complement the bigger development blueprint of the chief executive's policy address. The House Committee of the Legislative Council has accepted the suggestion of waiving standard notices in the legislative process. This came after Secretary for Security Chris Tang requested the committee to fast-track the legislative process of the Safeguarding National Security Bill under Article 23 of the Basic Law. The Bill Committee of the Legislative Council ended its first scrutiny of the Safeguarding National Security Bill on Thursday, with the government proposing more than 80 amendments. The bill was then presented to the House Committee before the second reading can be resumed. Secretary for Security Chris Tang sent a letter to the House Committee today asking to waive the notices that are normally requested before the second reading can be resumed. Many members supported Tang's proposal. The second reading of the bill could start next week at the earliest. High-profile U.S. economist Jeffrey Sachs told China's state news agency Xinhua that the CIA has for years been trying to undermine stability in China via social media. During the administration of Donald Trump, the CIA operatives used bogus internet identities to spread negative narratives about the Chinese government, Reuters quoted former U.S. officials as saying. Sachs' comments come after reports saying that the CIA launched a secretive campaign on Chinese social media, aiming to turn public opinion in China against its government. The Trump campaign also tried to undermine Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative, which provides funding for infrastructure projects in various countries. Sachs said the latest revelations prove that the U.S. government regularly interferes in the internal affairs of other countries. Amid the huge civilian death toll in Gaza, a top Democratic Party politician in the U.S. has called for new elections in Israel so that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu will be ousted. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, the first ever Jewish Senate leader, told the Senate floor that Netanyahu is one of 4 obstacles to peace in the region, the others being Hamas, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, and radical right-wingers in the Israeli government. The White House said they knew beforehand the content of Schumer's speech. Nasri Karim with more.
Chuck Schumer is the first Jewish majority leader in the history of the United States Senate and one of the highest-ranking Jewish officials in the country. The Democrat also described himself as a lifelong supporter of Israel and an admirer of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. But, Schumer says, Netanyahu has sunk too deep into the extremism of his far-right government.
Fourth major obstacle to peace is Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who has all too frequently bowed to the demands of extremists like Ministers Smotrich and Ben-Gvir and the settlers in the West Bank. However, I also believe Prime Minister Netanyahu has lost his way by allowing his political survival to take the precedence over the best interests of Israel. And as a result, he has been too willing to tolerate the civilian toll in Gaza, which is pushing support for Israel worldwide to historic lows. Israel cannot survive if it becomes a pariah.
This protest in Tel Aviv is for the release of hostages, but even in the months before the October 7th attacks, Israelis took to the streets over Netanyahu's plans to restrict the powers of the judiciary. Schumer says Israel's only hope is new elections.
At this critical juncture, I believe a new election is the only way to allow for a healthy and open decision-making process about the future of Israel.
It was some of the most blunt and forthright comments by a high-ranking U.S. politician on Israel amid the high civilian death toll and the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Around 600,000 people in the north of Gaza are facing famine as the U.S. and other countries airdrop food and supplies and look to open a maritime corridor for seaborne aid delivery. Meanwhile, at least 2 Palestinians, including a woman, were killed and several others injured in an Israeli airstrike on a residential building in southern Gaza. Another airstrike hit a house in the Nusayrat camp in central Gaza and killed 5 people, including 2 children and a woman. Nazri Karim, TVB News.
In the U.S., the father of a Michigan school shooter who killed 4 students was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. His wife was convicted on the same count in February. A second conviction against the teen's parents was of failing to secure a gun at home and doing nothing to address signs of their teen's mental health. The tragedy happened in Oxford High School in Michigan in 2021.
This verdict does not bring back their children, but it does mark a moment of accountability and will hopefully be another step to address and end and prevent gun violence.
The verdict means that the filler's father, James Crumbley, has joined his mother, Jennifer Crumbley, as a cause of the killing of 4 students at the high school, even without pulling the trigger. They had separate trials and are the first U.S. parents to be charged in a mass school shooting committed by their child. 17-year-old Ethan Crumbley is now serving a life sentence. Welcome back. Voters headed to the polls in Russia today for a 3-day presidential election, which is likely to see President Vladimir Putin's rule extended for 6 more years. Tracy Furness has more.
At a polling station in the far eastern port of Vladivostok, Russians went to cast their ballots on Friday as presidential elections opened in the vast country. An election which President Vladimir Putin is expected to win, extending his rule for another 6 years. I'm generally fine with everything. I like what's happening now, said this Vladivostok resident. The younger generation must live in peace and harmony so that there is no war, said this voter, also from Vladivostok. 71-year-old Putin faces almost no competition in the vote amid a clampdown on dissent in the country, which has seen opposition figures and rights groups imprisoned or exiled. The 3 other candidates on the ballot are low-profile politicians from token opposite parties that toe the Kremlin's line. Nearly 100,000 polling stations are spread across the country's 11 time zones, including annexed regions of Ukraine, with the first opening in easternmost regions, Chukotka and Kamchatka, this morning at 8 a.m. There is no independent observers at polling stations.
A serious mix-up at a local hospital has resulted in a woman's entire uterus, fallopian tubes and ovaries being removed. Mumu Sangai reports.
The woman, aged 59, suffered vaginal bleeding after going through menopause. She sought medical help in January at Port Hoi Hospital in Yunnan. The hospital collected tissue from the woman's uterus for examination. After 2 weeks, a medical report was generated which said the woman had endometrial cancer. The patient decided to have an operation to remove her entire uterus, fallopian tubes and ovaries in February at Two Moon Hospital. However, a doctor from the pathology department of Pak Hoi Hospital discovered no cancer cells were detected in removed tissue. The doctor reported to the head of the department and a DNA test was carried out. On Thursday, the result came out and concluded that the initial examined tissue specimen was mixed up with another 70-year-old female patient. This means the report of the initial medical examination was incorrect. Speaking to the press today, Wang Jizhong, the hospital authorities cluster chief executive of New Territories West, said the incident has affected the patient psychologically. Pak Hoi Hospital said the two relevant staff are currently on leave and will not be involved in related work in future. News 9, TVB News.
This year marks 100 years since the birth of renowned martial arts novelist Louis Cha, who is better known by his pen name Jin Yong. Cha is one of the most popular Chinese novelists in history, and his work has been translated into many languages. A range of commemorative events are being held in Hong Kong, paying tribute to the Chinese literary titan. Take a look. Enter the world of martial arts, or wuxia, at Edinburgh Place in Central. These 10 sculptures brought to life some of the most iconic characters created by Jin Yong. They include Xiaolong Nu, also known as the Little Dragon Girl, and wuxia hero Yang Guo, protagonists in The Giant Eagle and His Companion. The commanding presence of the Mongolian Emperor Genghis Khan from the Condor trilogy. The exotic grandeur of the iconic villain, the Golden Wheel in-law. Inside the yurt, you can find another wuxia hero, Guo Jing, Zhou Bo-tong, who's nicknamed Naughty Elderly Kid because of his childish and fun-loving personality, and of course, a legendary condor. They are part of a Path to Glory exhibition that honors the centenary of Jin Yong's birth, which attracted locals and tourists. Many came as a family, including this father-daughter duo.
Jin Yong is a really good writer, and I'm so happy to invite my dad come with me today, and he shared a lot of the story and the books to me, so really great memories.
I'm very glad to see some past of China, and the whole exhibition is made very, very good.
Rita here brought her Canadian husband to learn more about her childhood memories.
I have been a big fan. Very positive teaching. So we learn what's good, how to be a nice person, how to be kind.
The statues and the colors and the descriptions, I've been reading obviously the English part of it. History's fascinating.
Ren Zhe, the creator of the sculptures here, said it took 4 years for him to create the exhibition.
I hope use my sculpture. I want to develop the Chinese culture to about the world.
Chief Executive John Lee hopes the commemorative events can foster the spirit of service to the nation and society often seen in Jin Yong's novels.
The key is that an exhibition like this really is very unique, and it brings many people to Hong Kong and gets us more interested in Hong Kong culture and also in Chinese culture.
This is the famous bed that's made of boreal nephrite from the Great Eagle and His Companion. Lying in it, wuxia practitioner can experience a substantial surge in inner power. 22 more Jin Yong statues will be on display at the Heritage Museum in Sha Tin starting Saturday. Many residents have been cheated of their hard-earned money by various online scams. Chairman of the Investor and Financial Education Council, Victor Daw, said the body aims to elevate residents' investment knowledge. This came after the council launched an immersive education center in Chun Wan. Mo Seng-ai was there.
Online investment scams have become increasingly common, with scammers developing different methods to lure investors into traps. In the first 3 quarters of 2023, more than 3,500 online investment scams were recorded in the city. This was the opening ceremony of the Financial Education Experiential Learning Center of the Investor and Financial Education Council in Chun Wan on Wednesday. The ceremony was attended by Financial Secretary Paul Chen and Chairman of the Council, Victor Dose. The center wants to educate different target groups, including students, NGO workers, and families. Visitors can take part in 6 interactive games to strengthen their financial knowledge, which also provide them with information on investment scams. For instance, this game is called Fin at Farm and allows individuals to experience farming by sowing seeds and watering crops. The message of the game is that people can enjoy the fruits of their labor when the right investment and decisions are made in the process.
To elevate users' experience, the hub has installed 20 sensors in the ceiling and 8 sensors on these walls to control the movement of the shuffle.
The chairman of Investor and Financial Education Council said the learning center can further improve financial education in the city.
During the weekdays, the main visitors will be organizations, for example, school visits, elderly centers, and other NGOs. During the weekend, it will be open to members of the public, and we're extremely hopeful. In fact, having had the experience of running a lot of our projects online, we're really transforming that into this learning center. We can really reach unreachable, and to allow the public to have this wonderful space to further the investor education.
Individuals who are interested in visiting the venue must reserve their spots in advance. Mims 9, TVB News.
An electric aircraft dubbed as Air Taxi made its maiden flight from Shenzhen to Zhuhai. The world's first cross-sea and first cross-city electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, or eVTOL, successfully conducted its first public demonstration flight, reducing the time it takes to get from Shenzhen to Zhuhai from around 3 hours by car to just 20 minutes. eVTOL is similar to a helicopter, but its innovation lies in having 13 propellers, and it is electric-powered. And that's the news. Thank you for watching.